The painter who couldn't draw faces. Soft orchestral music seemed to echo through the quiet town tucked between rolling hills and whispering forests, where a painter named Luca lived alone with his brushes and dreams. Luca could paint anything: mountains, oceans, cities, even the wildest visions of imagination, with breathtaking detail. Every landscape he touched came alive as if the wind itself whispered onto the canvas. But there was one thing he could never paint: a face. Inside his cluttered studio, the gentle patter of rain pressed softly against the windows. A brush dropped. A canvas creaked under the weight of another failed attempt. Luca had tried thousands of times. Sketch after sketch, canvas after canvas, each ending the same way. Again? Why can't I do this?" he muttered, frustration breaking through his voice. Whenever he tried to paint a face, the eyes turned mismatched, the nose twisted odd, the smile looked wrong. He could paint the world's beauty, but not the people in it. And no matter how many times he tried, the canvas refused to understand. Defeated, Luca sat down and buried his face in his hands, surrounded by discarded attempts that littered the floor like broken dreams. The town square bustled with children's laughter and market chatter. Luca's paintings hung proudly along the display wall, vivid landscapes admired by all who passed by. People called him a natural talent, but admiration always came with a whisper. "He paints mountains like a master, but ask him to paint a face? It's a disaster," one townsman whispered mockingly. "What kind of artist can't draw people?" another added. "Maybe he just doesn't see people," a third muttered. The words stung. And no matter how far Luca walked, their laughter followed him like a shadow he couldn't shake off. One evening, Luca sat by the riverbank, his sketchbook resting in his lap. The sunset painted the sky in shades he wished he could capture forever. As he sketched aimlessly, a young child approached him. "Mister, why don't you paint people?" the child asked innocently. Luca froze, then forced a smile. "Some things are harder for me. But people are beautiful too," the child replied simply, before skipping away. Luca stared at the rippling water, feeling more seen than he wanted to be. The studio was quiet except for the ticking clock and the distant hoot of an owl. Soft thunder rolled in the distance. Luca stood before a blank canvas, the one thing that frightened him most. Maybe I'm just not meant for this," he whispered, defeated. A gentle chime echoed through the room. Suddenly, light bloomed in the corner, shimmering softly like moonlight dipped in gold. A small girl stepped out of the glow, not walking, but floating, like paint drifting on water. Her face was beautiful but blurred, like a memory half remembered. "Why are you sad, painter?" she asked, her voice calm and echoing. Luca's breath caught. Who are you?" "Someone who knows you're afraid," she answered. "Tell me, why can't you paint faces?" "Because faces show emotion, truth, and I'm scared of getting that wrong," Luca confessed, voice trembling. "What if I paint someone's heart the wrong way? What if I misunderstand?" The glowing girl tilted her head, light rippling softly around her. "Then don't paint someone else's heart," she said gently. "Paint your own." She reached out, touched the canvas with a glowing finger, and in a flash of gentle light, disappeared. Luca dropped his brush at first, his hands trembling. But then he breathed. For the first time in years, he wasn't painting someone else's expectations. He wasn't painting to impress the town. He was painting for himself. He painted his memories. His fears. His laughter. His loneliness. His hope. And the canvas listened. Brush strokes became faster, more emotional. Slowly, beautifully, a face began to emerge. Not perfect. Not flawless. But full of truth. Full of him. As he painted, memories he had long buried resurfaced, his mother's gentle smile, the proud pat on the shoulder from his first art teacher, the loneliness after he lost his family, the laughter of children by the river, and the words of the glowing girl. All of it poured into the face on the canvas. Weeks later, the annual art show filled the hall with murmurs and camera shutters. People crowded around Luca's display, unprepared for what they were about to see. "Is that a face?" one townsman gasped. "It's beautiful," another whispered. "I can feel something in it," a third said, voice trembling. People couldn't stop staring, not because it looked real, but because it looked alive. It was a painting of emotion, pure and raw, unmistakable. Word spread through the town, then beyond the hills, then beyond the forests. Luca became known as the artist whose faces carried emotion deeper than detail. People traveled from faraway places just to see the truth he painted. But Luca never forgot the glowing girl. Some said she was a spirit. Some said a dream. Some said a piece of his childhood imagination. Luca believed she was something else. A reminder that art isn't about perfection, he would say softly. It's about courage. It's about truth. It's about the heart. And so, the painter who once couldn't draw faces learned to paint the world in a way no one else ever could, not with perfect lines, not with flawless strokes, but with an open heart. Because sometimes, the greatest art comes from the parts of us we are most afraid to reveal.